Marie, Dr.
George.
Raber, thank you for doing this. I greatly appreciate it. And just by way of introduction, today's executive chat is with Dr. Marie Raber, who's associate professor and interim dean. She's director of the MSW online program at Catholic University. She's been called to serve as interim dean. Her predecessor left that position. And so we're going to talk a little bit about her role as the interim dean at Catholic University during these challenging times. But to be totally candid with the viewers, Marie and I are related. She is my sister. I won't say if she's older or younger, but she's my sister. And we have a close, both personal and professional relationship over many years. So Marie, I don't know if you've had a chance to view any of the other chats that we've had, but what we do is we start each chat by what we call taking the person's temperature and just kind of asking them, how are they doing? So let's start with that. How are you doing?
You know, it's interesting, through the years when people would ask me, how are you? I'd say, great. And now when someone's asking me, how am I doing? I hesitate for a moment and I'll say, okay, and I'll turn it back to them. But as far as me, I guess over the last 2.5 years, I've gotten used to being alone. But this epidemic and this pandemic has given a whole new meaning to being alone. I spent the last 8 weeks, actually 10 weeks, working from my condo in DC. And I've become pretty good at Zoom calls, and Zoom calls have consumed a good part of my day. Last 2 weeks, I decided to come on to campus because it's a pretty safe place to be. I have a nice office, my own bathroom. There are only 3 of us here in the school, my director of admissions and financial aid and 1 secretary. So I've decided to come in these last 2 weeks. Last week, preparing for graduation. This week, we're preparing for a new dean. The announcement has not been made yet, but I'm here going through files, preparing things that I need to help her with going forward. So being back here on campus has been great. I feel safe. We wear a mask if we're going to be in a room, if I'm going to be talking to someone else. But it's nice to be back here on campus.
So you've had a lot of adjustments, certainly adjusting to being interim dean. And the way that happened, Marie, were you an acting dean and then an interim? Is that the way it worked?
Right. Actually, almost 2 years ago in October, I was asked to step in and assume the role of acting dean for the remainder of the fall semester into the spring semester. The end of last spring, the president asked, would I assume the role of interim for the next year?
Right.
And I said, yes, I would.
So then that was an adjustment, and then the adjustment of COVID-19.
Right.
What, if anything, has it taught you? How have you had to adjust your leadership style, communication? Anything comes to mind?
Yeah. Quite a few things. As you know, George, I'm a planner, and I like to plan things out. And there's no plan for this. Each day was different. And I must give a great deal of credit to my faculty, who are amazing, committed men and women to the university and to our students. Now, we had a bit of an edge because we had to transition from in-person on-campus classes to online. We do have an online program that's a very large online program. So some of our faculty were used to teaching online. The ones that were not got a great deal of support from the coordinator of my online program, Danny Beeson, who helped them and walked them through their own fears. Now, we kept the classes synchronous, so we used Zoom. And it was very interesting during this pandemic, both faculty and students talked about the positive aspect of being able to see each other on these Zoom meetings because everyone was feeling isolated. So that worked very well. That was a complete change. As I said, every meeting we had was a Zoom meeting, as you well know, from our university Senate meetings to my weekly faculty meetings, to my management team meetings, to student review meetings, everything. So I became really much more technologically savvy, I must say. I operated because I constantly am signing documents. So I had my printer and my scanner at home, and that all worked well. But yeah, it's been quite an experience, you know.
So, you know, it's interesting. One of the things that I love about these chats is that while I have some questions, and you know, I will periodically even share the questions ahead of time, you don't really know the direction that these conversations will go. But one of the things I just realized that you have a team, your faculty are all mental health professionals. And a lot of them, you know, have a strong background in clinical and some in academic and some in both.
Right.
As you observe, was there a way that your faculty, being mental health professionals, could have been utilized by the colleges? Has there been anything in that regard?
Very, very interesting you say that. Two deans reached out to me at the very beginning. The dean from the School of Music, Jackie Warsaw, and Pat McMullen. And she said,
Dean of your nursing.
Pat McMullen is my good friend, dean of the School of Nursing, now the Conway School of Nursing. Pat reached out to me and she said, could some of your students help my students get through this? I said, no, no, no. There's so much liability involved in that. But what we can do is we as a faculty can offer what we call self-help seminars to students and to faculty. So it was interesting, about 2 weeks ago, President Garvey and the provost commented at a Senate meeting, at a town hall meeting, aren't we a fortunate university to have a school of social service?
Yeah.
To be in place.
Yeah.
What I have found to be so helpful, George, is every Friday over the past 9 weeks, last week we didn't do it because of graduation, we have either a town hall or a dialogue between students and faculty. And we talk about what these students are going through and what faculty are experiencing as clinicians. Everything is online now with counseling. So I saw a little bit more of the humanity on the part of faculty in acknowledging to students, we're all in this together, which is so very important. It lessens that power structure, which I think is important. And it was wonderful because I invited some of my alums to come back, not to brag, but our alums are leaders in some of the largest social service agencies here in Washington. One person in particular, Adam Rocap, he's deputy director for Miriam's Kitchen, which is a facility that I'm going to do some volunteer work on after I'm out of this job. He came and he talked about how they were on the front line, as are many of our students in their field placements. So it was just such an opportunity for our students to see and to be proud of where this MSW degree can take them.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you that I asked you about this. In addition to it, at Ramapo College, one of the things that we did is we graduated our nursing students early, so they could get into as best they could get into the front line and maybe even functioning as techs, even though they had their nursing degree. So yeah, and I'm sure Pat McMullen also had to think about that. And it's an amazing time to be a mental health professional. It's an amazing time to be a health professional. It really is. You know, you bring up John Garvey, President Garvey, who I've had a chance to meet on a few occasions. He's a wonderful person, but both he and his wife, and they were very open about it.
Very open, and we just asked him that question last week. I said to him, tell me how Jean's doing, and he said, you know, both of us, she had a more severe case of the virus than he did, but both of them have lost their sense of smell permanently at this point. That's one of the side effects of the virus. But, you know, it's funny, I just saw a picture of him at graduation after he came off the podium, our virtual graduation, with his mask on, talking to the provost with his mask on. You know, George, this is such, and bring up John Garvey, I think he's done a great job. In fact, John has, I believe, dealt with this very well. First of all, he made the decision yesterday to return to in-person classes in the fall, and that is quite a decision to make. But with that goes many different plans in place. As I mentioned, Pat McMillan, I talked with her yesterday about this, because it just can't be a business decision. We know we need to bring students on campus, but if we bring students on campus, we have a responsibility to provide a safe environment. So Pat talked to me yesterday. She's heading the wellness planning committee. She's talking about social distancing, masks. She's talking about, all right, so when some testing for the virus and for the antibodies. Also, what happens when someone does contact the virus or has been with someone who has the virus? Where do we quarantine these students? What hospital are we going to use? She's recommending Washington Hospital Center. They're down the street, literally, and they have had numerous cases of the virus, and they're equipped and they're experienced in dealing with it. So all of these things, we're talking about a hybrid of teaching, partially in face-to-face and then partially online. So there's going to have to be a mix. 2 days ago, Notre Dame's president talked about starting the semester a bit early and ending it at Thanksgiving and not bringing students back after Thanksgiving, letting them stay home, bringing them back after the holidays. So there are going to be a lot of different moving parts to this.
Has the President Garvey, has he gone public with that announcement?
Yes, yesterday.
So was there much discussion about the possible responsibility, legal responsibility of Catholic University in having kids on campus?
Well,
and,
you know,
and faculty and
right. We're mandated by the Mayor Bowser. We have to follow her direction.
Right.
And she's saying that certain aspects of Washington, D.C. can open up June 8th.
Okay.
But as far as your question, we are in close communication with her. We are our consortium of other colleges here, Georgetown, American U, GW. So all the presidents meet regularly. Other things that President Garvey has done, he and the provost have taken a 20% pay cut, a 10% pay cut for all vice presidents. The university is significantly reducing some of our funded capital expenditures. They're talking about, if necessary, furloughs for staff for 2 weeks in the summer and 2 weeks for the faculty during spring break and winter break. That's the last, you know, it's not going to be implemented unless it's necessary. But I must be honest with you, just today I'm hearing of so many schools who are letting faculty go, tenured faculty. So another thing happened yesterday. I can't mention the name of the school, but there's a very small Catholic school that's going to be closing its doors. And we have a relationship with that school, so we will take some of those students into our university. We're waiting to see what happens June 1st for us, because that's the date for deposits. And we don't know how many of our freshman class will agree to come to campus. You imagine how you would feel as a parent being concerned about your son and daughter coming onto a college campus. You know, so many thoughts. How do you keep them here and tell them they can't go into DC? You know?
Yeah, I was just talking right before we had this conversation. I had it wasn't an executive chat, but it was a call with a client, and he's a college president, and he and I were talking about some of the challenges that they face because there's the town gown which happens where students go into the community, go into the town, and they go to bars,
Mhm.
and the college has a relationship with the bars, and the bars monitor the drinking, and they also provide a certain level of care for some of the young women, and they're very observant. If they see a young woman being in a situation where someone is approaching them, continuing to approach them, they would step in. So why am I telling you this? He said his concern is the bars are going to be closed. Therefore, there will be house parties where you don't have that control. So that was an interesting. Usually you never think of bars as being a safe place,
Yeah.
but the way
Very
they function,
interesting.
the way
Very
they function in
interesting.
this community, they're a much safer place than when you're talking about
Yeah.
just house parties.
Interesting.
Have there been any there have been many challenges, but have there been any silver linings that you can point to in terms of people stepping up, or what you've found in yourself, or what you found in colleagues?
Yeah, I have, I'm here 31 years,
Right.
and I've always been so proud to be part of this, this faculty. And for the last 2 years, the administration, I believe for a variety of reasons, has really grown to see us for who we are. We embody the mission of this university to reach out and to be there for the most vulnerable of populations. And yes, through all of this, I think the university has seen this firsthand. Our students have to complete a clinical internship. So many of these students were at the front line with nurses. And on many occasions, the president and the provost commented to me how proud they were to hear of some of the stories of the services that we were providing. I have, been so inspired by my faculty and by our students. Students really were quite resilient. We have a reputation as a profession to being quite resilient.
Right.
I said to graduates last Saturday that our graduates this semester give a whole new meaning to resilience, because it was a challenge. They didn't sign up for online education, and they inherited it. And our faculty were amazing. I mean, I said to faculty, you're not going to remember this semester as much as our students that are graduating. So we have to make sure that we are accommodating in every way, and it happened. So I was very proud. I was very proud of my faculty and our student body and our graduates.
So this is kind of a two-part question. I'm looking to see what this experience has taught you about yourself, and then along the same lines, where have you drawn inspiration?
Good question, George. Very good question. I have always believed, Pat McGuire wrote this. She's the president of Trinity College right across the street. She wrote yesterday that in adversity comes opportunities, and opportunities for growth. And the Chronicle today had an article on what college presidents have to do in going forward. You have to look at how you've done how you've run your university, how you have run your school. You have to think about doing it differently going forward. And that's stepping out of your comfort zone. And that's hard, especially if you're a little wound a little tight. And I know I am, but it's forced me to think about you know, what things are going to look like going forward. And this is why I'm putting as many of our faculty on these planning committees this summer to think about the future, to be there at the front line, to be in the decision-making group, because we are a strong school. Our profession is going to grow from this. Yesterday, I did an open house for both online and on-campus students. And this is how I welcome them as the dean. And I said, if there were ever a great opportunity for social work profession, it's now. Our country, our world needs social workers now more than ever before, along with nurses. I said that to Pat on the phone yesterday, and she knows that. So this is an opportunity. So I'm so pleased to see that. You know, stepping down from this position, I've had a great 2 years. It was challenging at the beginning, I will be very honest with you. But now I'm sort of at peace, because I think our school is ready for the unknown going forward. When I reminded the provost 2 weeks ago that I'm on sabbatical starting August and I won't be coming back, he said, would you take me with you? And I said, because it's going to be a challenging time. And I laughed and I said, you'll do fine. It's his first year being provost. His name is Aaron Dominguez. He is an amazing leader. He is kind. He's thoughtful. He is just a wonderful human being. And he and John Garvey have done a great job during this time.
You know, it's funny. On a number of these chats, I've mentioned the fact that Mom is 100, and she's in Washington with you and Joyce, and that we're gonna. I guess we're doing a Zoom call with her on Sunday at 3 o'clock, which will be the only other time I think she's done a Zoom call was on her 100th birthday on April 4th, where we had. I don't know. I think we had 20 boxes.
It was great. It was great. Yeah, she's excited.
Yeah, well, that'll be good. You know, I know you have a very vibrant life. You've got 2 great kids and a bunch of grandkids. What makes you optimistic at this point? Anything makes you optimistic about the future?
You know, I think good surpasses evil. I think that this has, I tell you, you know, this is no secret. You and I on a Sunday watched this wonderful liturgy up in Boston with this wonderful Father John from St. Cecilia's Parish. And I guess my belief system and my spiritual life has always been important to me, now more than ever. And I think that it has caused everyone to think a little less about themselves and more about the other person. Even if it means wearing a mask, even if it means being more careful than you think you need to be at this point, but thinking about how this is going to affect other people. So I think for me, I've been giving that a lot of thought. I'm looking forward to seeing Mom. That's been hard because I'm 5 blocks away. And I can't see her. I, you know, deliver a package every Sunday, but there too, they have been so diligent in the protocol in not allowing people in. That's the reason they have so few cases of the virus. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my family, George. I'm grateful for you, my siblings, you know, my children, my grandchildren. This is where family is so critical. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Marie, you have been so wonderful, and I appreciate you doing this. I think people, you know, people are going to get so many different lessons, and what we've been happy to be able to accomplish is we have people who all have something in common, but they have different roles that they play in the world of our society, the nonprofit world, philanthropy, etc. So I'm very grateful to you for doing this, and look forward to seeing you certainly on Sunday, maybe before that.
Yeah, and I just want to add one thing. I love to get the last word. I'm so proud of you and how well you've led Ruotolo Associates over these past 40 years.
40 years.
40 years. And George, especially now, even with these dialogues, this is so important. This is inspirational to people that are thinking about some of these issues, that now think about them in a different way. So thank you. It's my pleasure to have participated.
Thank you. You take care. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.